Hey guys, wanted to do a quick review on a book that I very much enjoyed. I read it recently and finally found it in trade paperback. I enjoy start this way. The book is Black by Ted Dekker, but I enjoy trade paperbacks because, I usually read against my belly as I'm sitting, and hardcover books usually poke me. And I don't really like that. So trade paperbacks are my favorite. Mass market paperbacks, they're just a little bit smaller. They're hard not to break the spine as you try to read them, but I like them as well. And probably be trades, then mass markets, then hardcovers. I know I'm probably different than most people, but that's how I like them. But back to the book. This is Black, which is book 1 in the Circle series by Ted Dekker. From what I can tell, I've only read the first one. What I can tell is there's two worlds. You have a fantasy world where it is set in what we would imagine is a far future, but things are very, very different there. In the world, there's a black forest and a colored forest and a river that separates them. The evil creatures that live in the black forest can't come into the colored forest. The colored forest is where the people live, and there is no evil in the colored forest. All the evil is kept in the black forest. And so there's a bridge, and when Thomas Hunter first comes into the world, he's walking through a street in Denver in our time, and he gets shot, and he falls into a dumpster and is transported to this fantasy world. And what happens is every time he goes to sleep, he moves back and forth between the worlds. So he's got the regular world, and then he's got the fantasy world. And when he gets to the fantasy world, he meets a woman. And that woman, because of the perfect love of the colored forest, she knows that this man might be the man that she could marry. So she chooses to be pursued by him. And then he is given some water and healed, and he has no memory of this place, but everyone believes he should be of this place. So he tells them about what he remembers, and he remembers what they call the histories, which are from the far, far past, before the great evil and the fall. When I'm assuming nuclear war is kind of how it's described, or maybe there's a pandemic and then a nuclear war, because he's in the process of trying to prevent a pandemic, because he's told about the histories, and they go, yeah, you're right there before the great pandemic happens. And this was published back in 2004, so it's not like it was written around this time and then, we talk about the pandemic now. This was something that has been thought of by many other authors, Stephen King, Ted Dekker, a couple others have had the pandemic idea. I think it's one of the things that pervade culture, that eventually there's going to be an illness that kills us all. And COVID hasn't killed us all. I think we'll get through it. But yeah, he's trying to prevent this. I guess it's a vaccine that is corrupted and then airborne for third world countries. And so they're supposed to have this airborne vaccine that they give to these third world countries, kind of basically help them not have so many diseases and sicknesses. I think it's supposed to get rid of malaria and a bunch of other things that third world countries deal with, and kind of give them the ability to not deal with those illnesses anymore, kind of mass vaccinating people. So the story in the colored forest is the fall of man. In this one, it is not Eve tempting him. It is Thomas's interaction with starting in the black forest and running from the black forest into the colored forest. It creates the man, Tanis, who's their firstborn. It creates an interest in him, in what is over there. And he wants to defeat the evil. He wants to be the one that defeats evil. And God walks with them and communes with them. And in this world, God is called Elyon. Elyon is a representation of God Most High in the Hebrew. That's how it translates to English. And I love some of the Hebrew names. Like, my favorite Hebrew name for God is El Roi. I've only read it. I don't know how it's pronounced, but it's the God who sees. And I think of that as the way, the God who sees me, and the God that sees my daily life and is with me daily because he sees me. And I've always held close to that. And I think it's beautiful that he used a Hebrew name for God, that they used the God Most High. And Thomas has these moments with Elyon where he communes with God and learns about God's love and how much he loves him and how much he wants him and he's not answering his questions on why he came there or what his memories are. Thomas really struggles on which world is real and which one isn't. He goes into that world and fully believes he's there and that he's dreaming his life with his sister in Colorado. Um, in the real world of Denver, where he lives with his sister, his mother is kind of having a very hard time, had some anxiety and some depression and stuff like that. And that's because his father was a military priest. I'm not exactly what they call that. It's like what is it called? A chaplain. Chaplain. That's what it is. His father was a military chaplain in Malaysia, and he left their mother for a Malaysian woman, and so his mother was wrecked, because then they're no longer part of the army. They have to go home. They're uprooted from where they'd grown up their whole lives, and the person that had done this is a man of God, and so his faith is completely gone. So he has this moment with God in this fantasy world that is truly communing with God, loving God and feeling God and knowing who God is and the depth of the love that God has for us. And I mean, it's so beautiful. So beautiful to just feel that level of love that Thomas is feeling from Elion. And I know it's not a true representation of where we're going to go when we go to heaven, but it is a representation of what the Garden of Eden might have been like, because that's really what this is. The colored forest is the Garden of Eden. Tanis is the firstborn. He's the Adam character. I imagine that, in the garden, between the creation of man and the fall, there was a time, and there were families, and there were children born, and Tanis, as the father of all the people, there was no death there, so you didn't have to worry about dying. You had perfect bodies. And so, there's things that they can do. They jump and run, and they have, it's just wonderful to see, like, what we were created to be before sin broke us. You know what I mean? And it's so exciting to think of that and read of that and think of where we might be when heaven comes about. We're not going to be married. We're not going to have families, because we're going to spend our time communing with God and learning about God and talking to God and being loved by God and worshiping God. So it's different, but it's also really, really, really cool. And so I think you guys should read the book. The ending had me in tears. I was wrecked. I knew it was coming. I knew that the fall of man happened and that it should happen because we needed to choose God. It was one of those moments where you see the beauty of living with God, but loving God just because you're created, I don't think was enough. And I think God wanted us to, he didn't want us to sin. No, I don't misunderstand me there. God never wanted us to sin, but God knew that we would sin eventually, but he wanted to give us a way to redeem. He wanted to give us a way to bring us back to him, because God and sin cannot be together. So we had to be cleansed through Christ to get back to God. And his plan and his overreaching plan is amazing to me. I love reading about it. I love thinking about it. I love thinking about, the things that God has done for me. So yeah, this book just brought it all around for me. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much to my wife's friend, Elizabeth. She recommended it to me. I'd kind of had it on my radar, but she's like, you have to read it. You have to read it. And also my friend Jeff. My friend Jeff was like, if you like fantasy and you love God, you should read this series. And I don't think it should just be consigned to people who have faith. I think this should be something everybody gives a shot. It is a very interesting book, even if you're not a person of faith. You can enjoy the themes in this book. You can enjoy what's going on in this book. But as a person of faith, I think you will enjoy it 10 times more. And I'm excited to read the rest of the series. So, talk to you guys next time. Subscribe, like, do all the things. If you're still here. And that is all I've got for this video. So if you guys are still here, please leave a comment. Please like and subscribe. If you're not a subscriber already, I'd love to continue talking books with you. So talk to you soon.